Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Battlefield Project Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Rhoda, and we are the podcast for people who understand that life is a battle and only the strong will thrive. I'm joined here by my friend Derek, who's a local buddy of mine. And before I introduce him, I'm just going to do what I always do, which is to ask you to share this show. If you watch this and you get any value out of it, and or you think someone that you know might get some value out of it, please share it, whether that means a direct message to the link, share it on your wall. Any help sharing the show would be much appreciated. The reason I started this podcast is pretty simple and basic. It's just to show everybody out there that every single human being on this earth has battles that they face on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, and that no one goes through life untouched. So my goal with this podcast is to bring guests on who are authentic and vulnerable enough to share some of the battles that they have faced in their life and how and why they fought their way through those battles, in an attempt to provide inspiration to all of you out there listening to continue to fight those battles and always come out stronger on the other side. So without further ado, I got my buddy Derek here. Derek is the executive producer and owner of Aid M Media Solutions. He loves making videos that people enjoy watching and sharing with friends and family. He also enjoys seeing companies succeed with video strategies devised by him and his team. A graduate of the Art Institute of Philadelphia, Derek finished with the best portfolio in his class, along with his degree in film and video production. He has competed, man, tongue twisters here, in several film competitions, both locally and globally, winning best in some categories and being nominated for others. Derek lives in Mountville with his wife Laura and their 4 children, Liam, Olivia, Alexander, and Matthew. Good name. When he's not making videos or spending time with his family, Derek enjoys riding motorcycles and other outdoor activities, which I know from some video is shooting guns. So we get along on that front too, man. So welcome, Derek. I appreciate having you here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Matt. Happy Friday.
Likewise, man. So yeah, the floor is yours, brother. Whatever battles you've experienced, you want to talk about, and kind of how and why you fought your way through those battles. I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah, well, I know many of the guys in the Battlefield group, and I'm sure many of the people viewing this video, whether they are, whether they're in Battlefield or not, have kids. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, it's just so hard to split your time and find your time. You're kind of married to your business, and you always want to hustle, 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 go, 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 and put your all in your business. It's most people pick a business that they're passionate in and they enjoy doing it. But as a husband and as a father, you gotta always be there for your kids and always be there for your family. And sometimes it can be very difficult. And sometimes there's feelings when you might beat yourself up that you're not putting enough time into one, or you're not putting enough time into your other, or you love spending time with your family, and you feel like you might be neglecting the business. So that's kind of the battle I wanted to talk about, is that struggle with time and trying to make enough time in the day to be a good family person, be a good dad, and run a business, which
Yeah.
is extremely time consuming. There was a client of mine, Keith Brubacher. He has Brubacher Excavating out in Bowmansville, in between Lancaster and Reading. And he said this one quote this one time. It's pretty funny, but it hit me. He said, being a business owner is great. You only have to work half days. You just got to pick which 12 hours out of the day you want to work.
Truth.
And I know not everybody works 12-hour days all the time, but there's times where you gotta put time in and get it done. You have obligations as a business owner to your clients and to your employees and to your team to do what you say you're going to do and get things done. And again, you have obligations as a father and a husband to be there for your family as well. So that's the battle and the struggle that lies within.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you run into any of that? I know you're.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, it's a interesting topic for you to bring up because it's the same thing for me. I feel like a lot of people that I know and kind of watch on social media, they do the opposite. So they go all in on their business. They're all about it. They live and breathe it, and then they neglect their family to a certain extent, and that's kind of where the void is that they need to spend more time and energy on. I feel like my struggle has been, since I've been married and have kids now, 5 years or 6 years of marriage and 5 years of kids, is kind of the opposite. Like more than anything, I want to be there for my family. Like I want to be a dad, I want to be a husband. Like when I wake up, like that's what I want. Like that's my goal, that's my priority. I say family first, and I really, really mean that. But sometimes I feel like that's at the expense of creating a bigger business that then I could provide for my family in different unique ways, like more vacations and more so it's like you said, man, it's almost an impossible balance or harmony to really like figure out 100% all of the time, because sometimes it's a little more this, it's a little more that. But yeah, man, for me it's like, I work from home, so my day, when the girls are in preschool, now next year one's going to be in kindergarten, like I won't take calls until 10 o'clock or after. Like I have my Calendly link, and like the earliest you can get on my calendar is 10 o'clock, because that allows me to wake up, do my exercise and all that stuff before my family wakes up. But then once they start waking up, I help get them dressed for school. I help make breakfast sometimes. I help get them ready for school, and like in the car, sometimes I'm actually getting in the car and driving them to preschool, and I'm getting home at like 8:30, and just sitting down at my desk at like 9:15, like really dive in. That's days that they're at school. Now with summer, it's a similar ish thing. I get started a little bit earlier, but then I'm like intrigued and kind of pulled to go upstairs and like spend some time with them throughout the day, or go for a walk in the middle of the day, or my wife's going to take them, so I go upstairs and get them ready, get them in the car. Like, so I'm constantly like, what can I do with my family? What can I do for my family? And I love it, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. But then there's times I look at like our bank account and our savings, and like we want to take a vacation, and I'm like, like we don't have quite enough to do that right now. Like I got to keep grinding. And I'm like, well, if I traded the time I spent doing all those other things for time just prospecting, calls, new campaigns, events, all these things, like then I would have probably a bigger business, more money to do those things with my family. But then I'm like, but then I wouldn't have the time with my family, because I'd be spending. So it's just like mind fuck that I constantly battle. So yeah, man, I'm right on the same page with you, dude. It's
And
tough.
sometimes you can beat yourself up over, or sometimes you can end up feeling guilty one way or another. You look at a
Yep.
bank account and it can sting a little bit, and like, man, I need to work more, or what
Yeah.
should you almost feel. Sometimes you can potentially almost feel like a failure or something like that. It's like, it's
Yep.
like, and the battle is to balance it and to keep going, and to make sure that you are doing things on both. Sometimes you just got to stand back. You just kind of stand back and you just kind of look at it. You're like, everything's all right. No,
Yeah.
I've done this with my children this week. We did baseball this many times this week. We had talks about this. I made sure I'm covering this. I'm making sure I'm communicating with them, making sure I'm communicating with my wife. And, the thing about being a business owner is that it's a roller coaster ride. I mean, there are ups and downs. There are highs and lows. I mean, that's why not everybody can handle it. And that's just part of the game. And and that's kind of my main advice I want to give, is to just roll with it and keep doing what you're doing. And then obviously step back, take a look at stuff, assess things. Okay, how can I be more efficient with my time? Is it scheduling that this is the time that I'm doing phone calls. This is the time that I'm doing emails. These are certain days that I'm blocking out. In my case, it's for video shoots. When I'm on set, obviously if we're filming and we're recording sound, I can't be on my phone. I can't be texting. I can't be talking. There's times where you have to put your attention to that 100%.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thing. If there's anybody else that's out there that feels guilty one way, it's like you're the
Yep.
stretchy
Being pulled in
from the
different directions constantly. Yep.
you're getting pulled different directions, and obviously the two most important things are your family and your business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as time management goes, that's kind of how I block it out. Not to say I just look at it as a pie and divvy my time up evenly between family and business, but there's got to be checks and balances.
Kind of
Think
have
about
to.
think about thoughtful things that you can do for your family. Think about thoughtful things you can do for your wife. Think about thoughtful things you can do for your kids, whether it's walking them down to everybody make sure you go get ice cream. I mean, we live right near Scoop, so we can walk to Scoop. So that's
Dude,
something
that's one of our favorite places, man. We were just there last week, the week before. We love that place, man.
whether it's it's walking down there. If it's just like like my wife, she's an RN. She works either 3 12-hour shifts a week or 4 12-hour shifts a week. So some days if she's not working, maybe I'll try and set lunch aside and have lunch with my wife that day. Or if she's working 3 12s in a row and I really don't get to see her, um, and I mentioned this in the group here, like if I go down to make a late snack or something like that or whatever, write a little note, put it in her purse, so when she goes to work the next day, these stuff like that. There's little things you can do, or if I'm extremely busy, with video shoots and I'm booked up, just leaving a note for the kids, or calling or texting the kids or something like that. Different ways that you can communicate with them, so then even if you are overwhelmed at work or you're on a really big busy project, just do little thoughts of kindness, or just let people in the family know you're thinking about them. Or if you have extra time, do something with them.
Yeah, dude, I think you said something like a minute or two ago when you started that part of your conversation that it strikes a chord with me, because I mean, it's probably almost on a daily basis, and you kind of made the analogy of like being pulled in different directions, and when that's happening to you, it is easy to feel like a failure. And like I've had that conversation with my wife a lot recently. We lost a really big client end of May, so June 1st was like of our first month without that income. And it definitely had an impact on just like my family's like income. And it was like, oh shit, like things are gonna be a little bit tighter than usual this month. Like I'm grinding and like we're getting new clients signed up. So I'm not worried about it. But there's moments where like you look at that and you're like, fuck, like, and then, I'll express that to my wife, and I've gotten better at like sharing the downs as well as the ups, because usually it's just like, oh, like new client, high five. But like there's times where it's like I'm stressed. Like, it's not easy, like waking up and knowing that like the weight is on our shoulder. Like it's, we make it or we don't, and our family thrives or doesn't based on the effort and the efficiency that we do that. And she's always like, well, and I love her for it, but she's like, oh, I never think about stuff like that. Like, and I'm like, I'm super happy for you. I'm like, and I'm glad you don't, because like you wake up and like you take the kids to do stuff and they go to Dutch Wonderland, they go out to eat, and like, and she's not worried about finances. Like I handle the finances for the most part. Like we're good, but like she's not thinking about like where are we at and how much do we have and how's the month look and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm thrilled that she lives in that kind of like blissful state of like we always just have enough. But that doesn't change the fact that like I'm looking at it and being like, shit, am I failing in business because we're not making enough money? Or am I like, is a little bit of the stress that I have for not making enough money right now and like working extra hard, like does that impact kind of my attitude sometimes? Like I'll snap a little bit quicker, like I'll raise my voice with one of the kids, like they do something that they always do and I'm like, knock it off, and I'm like that's not them, like they do that all the time. So I'm like, shit, now that's bleeding into that. I think for me, the solution to that, and I do my best with this, and it's a continuous work in progress, is I don't know if it's finding the balance or the harmony, and or when you're in that role, be in that role. So like when you're on shoot and like you're doing your work for your clients and you're crushing it, like you said, like you're not taking phone calls, you're not texting, like you're 100% there in that moment. And then when you're home with your kids and your wife, like do your best to be there with your kids and wife and not be answering emails and not worrying about what you got to do tomorrow. That's where I found the most success. And when you kind of said take a step back and like realize like it's all good and I'm going to keep going with the flow, that's where I find my greatest success internally. And I'm not even talking about financially, I'm just talking about peace of mind and like happiness inside me, is when I'm a dad and a father and a husband and I'm in that role and I'm absorbed by that moment. I'm thriving. I'm like, this is beautiful. Like, this is all I want. This is all I need. And then when I go down to the office and I start, prospecting and pushing projects through and I'm trying to crush it there, same thing. Like if I could just be in that moment and just stay like laser focused of like, I'm building my business right now. This is like the financial success of our family depends on this. I can thrive there. But if I start meshing the two or getting like letting the two overlap and I'm working and I'm like, oh shit, like, we can't go on vacation right now because then all of a sudden my work like falters and weekends because I'm freaking out about like what I can't do with my family, vice versa. If I'm with my kids, I'm like, God, tomorrow I got to answer that email and I don't want to answer that email, or that client might cancel tomorrow. Then I'm not fully present with my kids. And then everybody in every situation loses. The more you can just kind of like compartmentalize, like I'm in work mode right now, I'm in dad mode right now, husband mode right now, and be present in that. I feel like that's where the happiness lies.
Right. Yeah, and you said something a minute ago too that kind of brought something up to me. You had mentioned that you unfortunately had lost a big contract. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's tough. And I kind of know how that is. It's like I've set my business up. I got to a point back in 2013, 2014. I had like 7 or 8 employees, and I realized I wasn't being. We were making a shit ton of money, video wise, but I wasn't present as I could be, and I kind of set my business up so that I don't have to work as much. Like I'm not doing 60, 70 hour weeks anymore,
Yep.
stuff like that. I'm working 40 hours. I'm working 40, maybe 40 hours,
Yep.
45 hours. Um, but I have really good relationships with 2 really big clients. And the scary thing is like I have it set up now where I have really good work-life balance. I mean, and anybody who's watching this is not a Michigan headline. This is Mountville baseball. So like I'm very involved in Mountville baseball. I'm on the board of Mountville Youth Athletic Association. I coach my kids' teams. Like, I'm involved in that. My kids love it. My kids love baseball. They eat, sleep, and breathe it. My daughter does volleyball, and I set my business up so that I can spend a lot of time and do that. But I know constantly, and I constantly live with this fear. I know my 2 big clients that just always give us work all year round, like all the time. I know there's constantly other video companies nipping at my heels, trying to take them away from me. And I don't ever want there to be a day where I lose one of those accounts or anything like that. You know what I mean? And it's a possibility. And so I for you, man. I know you're going to get another account because you're awesome at what you do. But that's a battle right there. Is that mental stress of being able to family and uh, you know responsible for that and feeling like a man and putting food on the table and bringing money in and stuff like that. I mean that's another struggle we have within ourselves, and that all plays into the work life balance.
Yep.
Anybody can go out there and grind and work 80 hours and not have a personal life, not have friends, not have family or neglect their family. And you just can't do that as a husband and a father. You can't be absent. You gotta, spend time and make time for your kids. It's you have so there
Go ahead.
there's a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot, and there's ways to not get so stretched, or if you're stretched, whatever you got to do to kind of make it all work.
I've more and more I'm coming to that realization that, and I don't know if I want to say it, like nobody has it all, and there are the outliers that have it all, but like to own many big multi-million, tens of million dollar companies, like, and then also have a really balanced home life filled with love and like time spent, like that's a rarity. Like to me, it's, and that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make. Like, could I build a much, much, much bigger company? Probably, sure. Like if I wanted to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week and just like burn the candle on both ends all day, every day, I'm sure I could. Like if that was my focus, I'm sure it'd be possible, and it probably wouldn't take that long to do it. But that's not the life I want. Like I want that work 30, 40 hours a week, and kind of oversee a whole lot of the stuff that happens in the business and build the business, but then have a really supportive team that processes most of the work. And then also be able to spend an almost unlimited amount of time with my family, because, you always hear like people that are on their deathbeds, like, what's your greatest regret? It wasn't, I wish I made more money. I wish I had bigger businesses. It's always like, I wish I would have spent more time with my family and told them I love them.
Yeah. And your wife doesn't work, right? Your wife's not
Correct.
working.
She was a second grade teacher until we had our first child. And then she said she wanted to stay home.
Yeah. And my wife just went back to work about a year and a half ago. Our youngest 2 are 10 and 8. So she didn't work for like 7 years. So for 7 years, I was the only person bringing money in. And I mean,
before kids,
there's definitely a weight that I'm not rubbing it in on you by any means.
I get it, man. Yeah.
It wasn't like she wanted to go back to work. Like she social interaction with other people. She wanted something to do, now your wife got the little ones. That's like her job, being a full-time mom and taking care of
Yeah.
stuff. But,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big help. But yeah, especially if you're the only person bringing money in and putting food on the table, man, it can keep you up at night. It can stress you out. So, I mean, my advice would be to block out your schedule. Like, you get into some sort of routine where you do emails and phone calls at certain times. You meet.
Yeah.
I do like in face-to-face meetings normally on Wednesdays. Like, normally Wednesdays are like my face-to-face meetings days, and I normally book shoots on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. I'll book shoots. I try not to book shoots on Fridays and stuff like that. But yeah, you get into that schedule, and you got to find some kind of balance. And when you feel like you're getting pulled in different directions, just take a step back. If you're beating yourself up because you're not spending enough time with your family, take a step back and think about those things that you can do. Think about what you can do to let your family, know you're thinking about them, or block out time to be with them. And if you feel like you're not doing enough financially, or you're not doing enough with your business, take a step back. And sometimes it's just those highs and lows of business, and something else is going to come in, or you got at least something else lined up that's likely that's going to be new client, new business, new work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, dude, from my perspective, and this is, I said this to my wife the other day, like this month has been a little bit like I don't like feeling lack, and with finances, I'm like, it just doesn't feel good. But I also said, I feel like I needed this kick in the pants from God, because it's that old, when you're doing well and you're comfortable, you fall into that comfort zone and you just kind of ride that train, you're good with it. And I've honestly, like, full transparency, I've been in that comfort zone for like a decade. Like, we're good. We get referrals once in a while. We're growing a little bit year over year. I can provide for my family. We have a nice house. Our kids get to do whatever they want. We get to go on vacation once a year. Like, we save for the future. Like, all of our boxes are checked. So I'm not like in a bad state by any stretch of the imagination. We're extremely blessed and like surrounded by abundance. But I specifically, because I'm the kind of leader of that pack, have been okay kind of skating in a comfort zone. And I'm like, you know what? I needed God to come in, or whoever, universe, like kick me off and like knock me down, be like, okay, like I meditate, I do all my abundance affirmations, I vision the future, and I have all these grandiose dreams and like pictures of what I want to be able to do with our family and like the things I want to provide for them. But then if I would take a step back and look on a daily basis inside my business, what am I doing to get that goal achieved? I wasn't doing what I need to do. Like, now in the last 3 weeks, I've been so freaking like dialed in, laser focused on reaching out to friends. Like, I probably went through 5 of my friends' LinkedIn, their friend connections, like 500 some connections, copy pasted names of like business owners that I think I could add value to, send it to them. And they're making warm introductions for me. I could have been doing that for 5 years, and we could be a $3 to $5 million company right now, but I've just been comfortable and not doing that kind of work. So this has been, in the grand scheme of things, this is exactly what I needed for our family to get to that next level. And I accept that responsibility, and I accept the fact that like I put us in this situation, and like there's no one, I can't point the finger at anybody else and be like, oh, it's that client that canceled, that it's their fault. Like, no, dude, like it should never be in a position where one client cancels and I'm scrambling like I am right now. Like, that's my fault. Like, that's 10 years. We've been in business 13 years, call it 10 years of like toasting, which I should never have been doing, and kind of chasing the shiny egg, like squirrel. Oh, another opportunity, squirrel, another business. I can make quick money over there, instead of just putting my head down and be like, this is the machine I've built, and it's a really solid machine. We have a really solid team, and we could scale this pretty quickly and easily with some effort from me up front driving that business development. And now, like, I'm delegating more of my day-to-day tasks even this last month, because I'm like, I don't need to be one doing that stuff. Like, we have teammates that can do that, and I'm looking at agencies to schedule appointment. Like, we're in full on go mode right now, and it's exciting as shit, even though this month has been like a scary, not a fun place to be, but it's projecting me forward. So I'm like, all right, at the end of the day, I'm grateful for this, despite the down that I felt early in June. Now I'm feeling like an up again, because we got a couple of little smaller clients, but they're making up for that loss. And now everything else, when that's just going to amplify icing on the cake. So it's a fucking journey, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And you hit the nail on the head. It's exciting sometimes. Sometimes if you coast and you coast and you coast, you gotta get excited about it again. And ain't nothing like getting excited about it when you need
new contracts come in. You're like, I could
yeah,
have been doing this for the last 10 years. Like,
yeah, yep, yeah.
awesome, man. Well, where can people find you online? And before I get to that point, I appreciate you bringing this topic up because it's something I've been talking about a lot with my wife and a couple other close friends recently. Just kind of like the internal struggle that I've been going through with some of this stuff, like the work-life balance, more so like the work balance and like my success in that realm. Because I feel like, not to toot my horn at all, but like you're similar. Like I'm a great fucking husband and dad. Like I crush it in that game. Like I have no worries about that. But then how I play in business affects how I like the life I can give my family. So it's all intertwined, and it's something the last like 3 months I've been like, okay, I got to get this right. And we lost that client. I'm like, okay, I got it. Like loud and clear, I got it. And now I'm on the right path. So this conversation, man, is just another affirmation, another like clear nudge from God that like keep fighting the good fight because you're heading in the right direction. So I appreciate you being here and sharing that with me, man.
Well, I don't know how you do it all and still have time to work out, man. Like, because it seems like you're always on top.
Early mornings, man.
Yeah, man. I don't know how you get that in there, but yeah, that's something I'd like to try and fit in my schedule at some point. But we'll see.
Yeah, you'll get it, dude. You'll get it. So, where if people want to work with you, and can people work with you outside of Central PA? Like, do you guys travel, and what's the best way to find you online?
Oh, we go all over. We were in Jacksonville, Florida, and Savannah, Georgia in November. Yeah, we've filmed in California. We filmed in Texas, Maine, all points and corners of the country. It's AIDEMsolutions.com. It's AIDEM solutions.com. It's AIDEM Media is our company. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. We help companies tell a better story with video. So we help a lot of small businesses, regional companies, national companies. I mean, we got some big accounts, but we're not too big to not help a local, dentist or veterinarian make a video for their website. And we got the skills and the chops to handle big national accounts as well. So we're a boutique shop. We're lean and we're mean. We got 4 guys at the company, and that's what we do. We help people. Yeah, we get shit done. We help them with video. So yeah.
Oh yeah, man. And I'll put that link in the show notes as well as you're semi-active on social media like Facebook and all that stuff. So I'll put your personal profiles in there too if people want to connect with you on like that.
You were mentioning LinkedIn. I want to be more active on LinkedIn. So.
Yeah, same, dude. All right, my brother. Thanks for being here, dude. And for everyone that watched the show, I'd be willing to bet a lot of people that watch this are like, holy crap, I deal with the same stuff, especially business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, stuff like that. So let's just put it this way. You're not alone, man. Like I don't talk about this stuff that much online. I share a lot of wins. I share some losses, but this is stuff that goes on behind the scenes, goes on internally. It's a battle I think that we all fight on a daily basis in some form or another. So if you've watched this and you're like, hey, my brother or my dad or someone might need to hear a message like that to know that they're also not alone, please share the show with them. I appreciate that effort. And Derek, thanks for being here, brother. And we will see you on the battlefield.